people can actually understand that, if you can work for that, it's just like, the potential difference. This is how the electric current flows from high potential to low potential. If you can create a high potential there, you think people were against the system of Islam at the time of the Prophet Islam? Everybody liked it. Even if they were the enemies, they knew, this is naturally making a lot of sense. We would rather have our kids and daughters in that system where they're protected and laws are right there. They're being practiced by every single element of the whole food chain. And people who are not in power would rather not be in power because they're kind of fruit that they're reaping from the people in power because of the moral correctness. This is again, since I have gone through the detail, I'm a Muslim, I understand the Quran and the Seerah, I can sense that, I can smell the fruit. I still haven't tasted it. I haven't seen the whole system at play. Imagine when people were actually tasting the fruit. That's why the big age of Islam started from a city. The age of Islam started from a city, not because Umar Khattab had a shimmering sword. People actually understood the system. They knew that these laws are actually, the Jews themselves said the finest possible time that they, from the 3,000 years, were under the reigns of Islam. Mm-hmm. How come? It's not a joke. It's not something which I'm coming in an anecdotal case. It's 800 year. It's
written in their own books.
Yeah. So they can have their golden years, and we can't. Because it's utopian, it's a dream of Saladin, it's adolescence of a boy from Pakistan who just read too much Maududi or comes from the
You just described the memes. That is what's claimed.
Yeah, I know they call me the second coming of Maududi, a self imposed belief system of Islam, or they don't use the word Khilafah as much as I would like them to, but they just, because I don't even use this word Khilafah, I use the word system. That's something they would understand better, because I don't care whether it's a king or a guy or comes from democracy or whatever. It has to come from a power wherever the structures of power currently exist.
So according to this envisaged revivalist system, could it come from the OIC, the Arab League?
No, Arabs, I'm sorry. They've, they're not in anywhere close to, I think OIC, I would rather go to Paris to get more results from OIC, it's that simple. It's literally, I picked that city for...
Why can't they be a pawn in your game, in your chess game?
They are, their kids are.
But they aren't.
No, they aren't. I'll tell you what. We both should know. You're here. You're from Hyde Park, and everything's going on. Everyone knows. I would rather have Shamsi sitting there, and I'm going to tell him, dude, you use Islam and use the word Aqidah so that Jews cannot actually mobilize themselves into politics. Are you kidding me with this? Salman Farsi can, straight up criticize Umar Khattab face to face, but no, we can't criticize our leaders. That's called khuruj. It's only the job of the scholars. And Imam Kaaba is actually inaugurating the cinema in Jeddah.
Crazy.
It's crazy. And you think, but I'm not committing any khuruj because I didn't give bayah to MBS or anything. I can talk about it. That's even in alliance with your own Aqidah as well.
But why can't bodies like the OIC and the Arab League be part of the pawns for positive change that you've mentioned earlier on?
They are designed to bow. So if you get power from the outside, they're going to bow to it. Don't worry about it. It's their Aqidah. You know that?
Yeah.
It's their Aqidah.
So what you're actually saying is then this proposed system can't coexist with the nation state then?
In the transition, it doesn't really matter. Even if there are lines drawn on the map. Okay. NATO is a single body, European Union is a single body, but there are lines drawn between Germany and France. It works. So we can. I'm giving a lot of hints to the kids who are aspiring to, I'm talking to that boy or a girl, but, boys can really get it because, man is designed for power. Okay. Our psychology comes into a dopamine cycle for power. I don't want you to think of Bill Gates or Elon Musk or Steve Jobs going from Budapest to Baltimore in his plane trying to do his commercial math of how many dollars. I want Muslims to be traveling in different streets of the world and in their own cities and others, in attending different conferences where they're going to call the shots on how the globe is going to move. This is real power. This is what Islam is demanding. وَأَعِدُّ لَهُمْ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُم مِّن قُوَّةٍ. This is when I'm envisioning for the Muslim youth, I'm envisioning those meetings where you're actually going to be writing policy which is going to cause not millions but billions of people to come into correctness, and people will understand how powerful your pen becomes. Okay, so this is literally what Sahabas were doing, like as literal as I'm going to make it. I mean, Umar Khattab, Ali bin Abi Talib, in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, they were being trained to make sure that this power is maintained properly. So this is what every Prophet ﷺ does. 124,000 Prophet ﷺ came in, took the power, and implemented it, installed it, gave it to their people, and they maintained it as much as they could, and then
until the need for another messenger came and so forth.
They relieved themselves out of the power. Sometimes they even divorced it. In the Quran, Allah Azza wa Jal literally says, then I gave this to the Jews and then to the Christians, the Nasara, and then they threw it on the floor. When I say Aqam al-Tawrat, they just don't do Aqam al-Tawrat, they just do Tawrat. Aqam al-Tawrat is to install and implement Tawrat. Aqam al-Tawrat is not, because Allah in the I'm talking about Surah Maida, verse 68 here. Allah is addressing the Ahlul Kitab. So it's not that they don't believe in the book. Allah is saying, oh, Ahlul Kitab, implement the Torah. Aqam al-Tawrat. So it's not about, them believing in the Torah. They already believe. That's why they call Ahlul Kitab. Okay, read the verse and I'll tell you, there's so many. I'm just talking about this psychological sense and the structure the Quran builds inside our visions, in our minds. So I need boys to come into power, and your pens and your words should matter to every country in the world. At least start with your own, and then some, and then all. This is how some people are still running the globe. And why can't Muslims do that? And even if it comes down to belief versus belief, a principle disagreement, it's okay. We know the solution to that. It's okay. We have different pieces on the board.
My final question to you is that there's been a lot of appeal.
Before I let you, just hold on to that. As soon as we start playing this game, you'll be amazed as to how new pieces are going to come in. People are waiting for these sort of Muslims to come into power and eloquence and competence. The word should be competence first. First we become competent, then we'll become powerful. That's how natural order is. As soon as you're going to become competent and you're going to talk about the word power, all of a sudden new pieces are going to start to structure themselves on the board. And then you're not going to have these kind of castes. You're going to have literally non-Muslims coming into alliance. That's when you're going to understand the meaning of the hadith. When Imam Mahdi is going to be coming, a lot of other forces are going to come in for give their allegiance to Imam Mahdi from the Jews and the Christians. This is how it works. I mean, I started to come to go to Australia and in England. I'm just talking about these 4 pillars, right? And the local community is really running towards me, and those resourceful people with kids, their parents, they understand.
MashaAllah.
Everybody wants their kids to be, competent, educated, financially independent, politically sound, and implementing all of that with the purpose of the Quran. I mean, why wouldn't they? I mean, I'm not saying anything which any father or mother wouldn't want. I want your kids to be competent and financially secure and politically savvy. What's wrong with that? If I were a rabbi or a Jewish man saying that in Israel, they would be sending me to Oxford or Cambridge or Harvard to propagate that, so that overseas Jewish...
to mobilize yourself and put it into use.
That's the word I use, to mobilize the youth. Now, you can understand it. Bengalis won't in Dhaka. They won't be able to understand the real meaning.
So that's my last question to you. Your advice and your appeal appears to be a lot centered around, on an IQ basis, maybe on a financial basis, the Western diaspora. What about the average village boy who goes to college? The average Pakistani or Indian or Bangladeshi who is actually poor and things aren't looking great for him in terms of further studies, financial stability. Let's be honest about it. If you look at Bangladesh and Pakistan, just two examples because it's our heritage, it's our background. The average banda is poor. The average banda, life's not looking great for him on a material sense. He'll go to college, he may have a laugh or two, play a bit of cricket with his friends. I'm talking about especially in the rural areas, not about city boys, town boys, because I'm talking about there's a huge demographic of those who don't have access to the things that we have access to, what's their job in this game? What's their job? What's their role in the revival?
Okay, the solution is in the Quran. Okay, it's a little tough to swallow for a lot of people who are going to listen to this. But generally, Muslims are poor because of the lack of system of Islam. Okay, the Quran actually talks about it directly in these very words. فَوْقِهِمْ وَتَحْتِهِمْ. Things are going to come to you. The rahmah is going to come to you. Resources is going to come to you if you implement the system. Because if you're not going to implement the system, don't rely on me then. You're on your own. Okay, that's the baseline. But current landscape, let me tell you how it's going to work. Most of the people who are not poor, or who are not rich enough, do not have any resources. These are not the people who are going to be able to do much. I call a person who's poor in my plan who has no knowledge. Because there will be poor people, regardless of whatever system you're ever going to run. You know, even if Isa ibn Maryam is going to come here, and you're going to see the landscape, there will be the socioeconomic hierarchical dispositions, you know, and classifications. Well, that is what Allah is saying, that, you know, some people will be tested with poverty, some people will not. Some people will be tested with money.
Yeah.
So I'm not talking about the individual. I'm talking about, you know, the whole group moving together. We need the poor people, we need the rich people, because we don't really look at them from this perspective. But we should judge the people who do not have knowledge, because it does not require money to read the Quran and understand it. If anything, most of the prophets never had money.
And their followers were mainly poor.
Yeah, most of the followers,
Most of the followers were poor.
Most of the followers didn't have any resource. Some of the people with resource were appreciated, so that we need them. Okay, but that was not up to them to become resourceful. Otherwise, everyone would be resourceful.
Abu Bakr, Uthman bin Affan,
Abdurrahman bin Auf, and you know, there's so many, but not so many, but you know, but they're enough so that we can understand that. Yeah, you know what, resources required. When Uthman bin Affan gave, you know, in Ghazwat Tabuk, first draft, second draft of gold, Prophet said, you know what, Uthman can do whatever now. You know, you're free of anything. I mean, this is, imagine these on, you know, if we were to be said to any other human being, from here on, Uthman can do whatever. So, it is appreciated. وَعِدُّ لَهُمْ مَسْتَطَعْتُم مِّن قُوَّةٍ. Quwwa means politics. Politics requires money. Jinnah said, you know, give me some bullets of silver and I'm going to win you this war. I mean, we know, that's what I'm saying. We need Muslim youth to come into power in terms of awesome careers, big company, good jobs, politically well-placed jobs, and making sure that they're respected in their fields as well. And whoever is respected in his field, naturally is going to get money. However, the general mass in you know, in
Muslim
remote areas in Pakistan or you know, in Bangladesh, those are the people dependent on those metro youths who actually were responsible for those remote, you know, placed poor people. But they don't even realize that, you know, they're responsible. People in Islamabad, Lahore, Karachi, or Dhaka, or Chittagong, or whatever is a big city. I don't.
You mentioned all the big ones.
Yeah. Those boys and girls are responsible for those remote people's resources. They just don't know it yet. That's what I'm saying. We need to make them responsible. If I know I'm responsible for 20,000 people, I'm naturally going to be, you know, studying for it, learning for it, even first of all, yearning for it. And then I'm going to learn for it. And then become competent enough to actually do something about it. But we're not letting them think on these lines, because we've changed the definition of a Muslim, that you do your own tazkiyah and that's it. You, nafsi, nafsi, nafsi. This is not Islam. This is akhirah. Islam in this planet is anfusana, all of us together. And this is why I'm not talking about just Dhaka and Chittagong youth. I'm talking about the Lahori and Karachi youth responsible for remote areas in your Bangladesh, because we are still in the same family. And unless we do that sort of a connection and network, this is not going to work. My plan only works when everybody comes together. And enough people, I'm not saying every literal person, enough people from every place come together as a network. We call it the TDP now. Actually, I'm officially calling it the Teenage Development Program. From Melbourne to, you know, Houston to London to Manchester, wherever the big cities are, all the teenagers are supposed to be getting at least 8 skills to come on to gain points in these 4 pillars, measurably. And their pillars better be visible globally, because if it's not global, it's not, you know, it's not political. And if it's not global, it's not going to have that financial independence, because if I have 200,000 people in my network, literally, with the same purpose, I can launch a product and I'm going to be a millionaire. You know what I'm saying? But it's not going to be, you know, a commercial plan. I'm just going to have to establish this so that our kids, when they speak in any conference in California or Melbourne or London, everyone in the world would know, you know, how competent this boy is. He's done his homework. He's not just aware of what the global policy is or public policy is. He is going to make sure, you know, right resources are triggered to make that change. This is how any politician works in Geneva, from, you know, in Paris or in Washington. They, you know, these people are doing the right thing in the right place, not for the right reasons. We have the right reasons, which is called Islam.
How many more cities you got left as part of your tour?
Oh, I just began. I have 6 more. I'm going to do 1 more in London, then Newcastle,
Yep.
Birmingham, Manchester, Bradford, and Southampton. And there's a talk in Nottingham. I have to do the London School of Economics again. They just called me again for another session. So this is first draft England. Then I have to go to Oslo and Sweden and probably Copenhagen, because that's practically where, you know, my family is. So it's after that, I'm done with the European thing.
And when will you see us again?
I just got a call from Birmingham that, you know, this is not going to work. We cannot just, because this one session is not going to be enough. Birmingham is literally Pakistan. You know what it says? It says, you're not going to find a Gora here. Okay?
Yeah. Not in Small Heath or Alam Rock, anywhere like that.
Yeah,
no.
I did not know that. So I'll have to do plan a return, a sequel with a totally different spin, because I need to give some tasks, connect them, and come back and follow up whether these kids are, or parents, because I give tasks to parents and you know, youth different tasks, and I haven't done any youth program yet. I went to Australia for, you know, 2 different kind of programs, one for the general mass, one particularly for the youth. Here I haven't really come up with the youth program because it was a 30-day schedule and still every day was packed. I have to come back for parenting and youth programming. Inshallah, but I need to cover, you know, back home Toronto. I need to go to America. There are 27 booked sessions in America, which I left for the last, because I need to cover all of this. Once all of them are together, you know, you have yourself your first draft network. But these will be parents.
Very busy.
Oh, inshallah. No, this is just the beginning. If, you know, God willing, if I am going to live that long, I'm going to keep following it up so that, you know, someone's going to take up the next tour. I don't have to come. If I'm doing the whole tour all over again, then, you know, it's not working. You know, I need to get boys and girls to come in and, you know, take the baton.
Well, for selfish reasons, I would want you to visit again so we can host you again.
Oh, inshallah. No, I'd love to.
Yeah,
of course. Yeah. And I need you specifically. You have no idea how much of a, you know, use I have for people in your position, because you are in a position of power. See, now this is something which is a responsibility. And this is something which is why you become so alluring, because this podcast alone and 20 sessions, you know, you can't even measure the weight of this. You know, this is how big of a responsibility this is. So we have to be really careful in choosing our words so that, you know, you can trigger the right, because, you know, it's your neurons in your head that are the strings. You're the puppeteer of the next generation. You're literally puppeteering how the next generation is going to move. This is the power of the microphone.
You're telling everyone our secrets, Sahil Bhai.
Oh, God. Silly.
Inshallah.
But seriously. You know what I'm saying? So this is, imagine if Islam is, you know, pouring through your neurons into the next generation. This is literally what the microphone is doing.
Of course.
Inshallah. So this is how I think of all of this landscape. This is how, you know, these people of this stature become so important. Inshallah, may Allah take the real task. May Allah use us for His, you know, the bigger purpose of Islam, inshallah. And our kids. And this is the job. This is the job. This is the only job. Everything else is secondary.
Sayyid Bhai, Jazakallah khairan for your time. It was an honor having you on.
Oh, are you kidding me? The honor is all mine. Thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure.
May Allah bless you and preserve you, my dear brother. Brothers and sisters and friends, I hope you all enjoyed today's episode as much as I did. A lot to unpick, a lot to think about, a lot to ponder on as youth and as parents. If you like this episode, do remember to click subscribe to the 5 Pillars YouTube channel. And you can find all 3 seasons, including this episode, on all the major audio platforms. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.